Hey, True Believers, Englentine here with a review of What If Flash Thompson Became Spider-Man. Now, if you are a What If fan like I am, if you are an old fart like I am, you may remember that, wait a second, this seems familiar. What? I'm pretty sure that they have done this story before. And this is the cover. So, yeah, I'm very sure that they have done this story before. But I guess they're going to have a different twist on it, right? We're going to see a different version of Flash Thompson, right? Well, in all honesty, we kind of do. And we kind of don't. This is sort of a retelling of that particular story, just expanded with a better costume also. The design of the Flash Thompson costume wasn't great in that particular story. Anyway, this is what I would say a what if is done right. We're going to get to another one, but for right now, I'm going to say I like the structure of the story, mainly because this book right here, the Flash Thompson one, follows the structure of the original What If, and I enjoy that. It gives a setup. It gives us a premise, and oh my goodness, there's the surprise. This is the difference. Instead, of course, having Peter Parker in the suit, you have Flash Thompson, and then, of course, they go to the Watcher, who talks about what's going on. Now, here's the problem. They don't tell us the point where time changed. Like in the original, it had Flash Thompson coming in, well, if you got this many girls around you, you need to find free entertainment for dates. And that's why he was at the science fair. Remember, in this time, they show that it's the school trip, kind of like in the movie. But there was no moment where it was like, oh, and this is the big change, and this is why the swap and everything. And I was hoping for that. Second problem I have is Nick Fury as the Watcher. I have a problem with Nick Fury as the Watcher. And that's mainly because the Watchers were a race of beings who would watch would watch all of the timelines. Like if you see an Earth, then you're watching that Earth and all of the dimensions of that Earth. And that's just any planet in any world. And I liked that. But if you have Nick Fury as a Watcher, then it's not any kind of, oh my gosh, it's that special race. It's just anybody can do it. Is there a job interview process? But anyway, I digress away from the story here. The story itself is exactly what a what if should be. It tells you, sets up the differences. It tells you, well, without this, you would have had that. But there is a problem with this book, and that is that the Watcher holds your hand all the way through it. They have Nick Fury just, oh, and this is what happens, and this is the moral consequences, and this is how you should feel about what happens in the book and these moral consequences. For I am the Watcher, and I see all, and now I tell all, because, we're not going to leave anything up to you, and we're not going to let you draw your own conclusions. We're not going to let you feel what you want to feel. We're going to tell you exactly how you should feel through all of this. So seriously, the book holds your hand all the way through. I do like the fact that they make Flash Thompson a hero for hero's sake. He loves to help people. And Flash Thompson had always been like Spider-Man's biggest fan, so I like that element of it, but they still have the jerk element to the character as well. He's kind of like a Guy Gardner who, yeah, he'll save your life, but he's a douchebag while he's doing it. And he kind of loses it. He loses his cool a couple of times to his own detriment, of course, much like Guy Gardner. So I kind of enjoyed that as well. I kind of enjoyed that particular personality of this character. This is not a perfect book, as I said. I'm driven crazy by the scenes with Nick Fury's Watcher. I think there's just far too much of him. We don't need our hand held throughout the story. Just it's okay to say, well, this is where it changed, and okay, this action, if you remember, this was the cause. But you can do that in a panel or two, and they waste pages or half pages for doing this. Don't give any commentary. Just say, well, this is where it changed. Obviously, if Spider-Man, isn't Peter Parker anymore, he would do things different, and this difference caused this rift would have been fine, but it just seemed like a well they went to far too often. And that's unfortunate because everything else in this book was entertaining. So I'm going to say of the two what ifs that were released this week, what if Flash Thompson, what if the X-Men, this is the better of them. What if the X-Men is what I would say, and this is, of course, it's my channel, it's my opinion, and that's all it is. Some people may read this book and go, oh my gosh, it's awesome. What if the X-Men is absolutely 100% the wrong way to do a what if book. I understand that some people may read this and think it's the best X-Men story ever. I think you're wrong. But also, I think you're absolutely wrong if you think that this is the way to do a what-if book. This is X-Men in another dimension. Wait, what? Englentine, isn't that what all what-if books are? No, not at all. And I'll tell you why. While they take place in other dimensions or whatever you want to say, what if is all about the turning point and the consequences of said turning point. So, like in the very first issue of the classic What If, we have Spider-Man joining the Fantastic Four. In the first issue of Spider-Man, we actually see Peter Parker go to the Baxter Building to join the Fantastic Four, and he's rejected. So, and then it says, wait a second, we could use, Reed Richards in the Turning Point says, we could use the extra hand. Hey, wait a second. And he joins the Fantastic Four, and then we get the consequences. We see where the world had changed, and then we see what would have happened if that change, and absolutely, I think, and that's what makes a what-if book. You actually see the choices that the heroes had to make and then the consequences of those choices. Had they made a different one, it may have been better. Usually it was worse, though. There was never like, and they lived happily ever after. Boy, don't we wish we had that ending here. Usually they didn't have that in What If. As a matter of fact, I'm hard-pressed to think of anything that they had that kind of an ending. The best I could say is what if Captain America were revived today. But I don't know. I would have to go over them again. Anyway, this is... my gosh, I'm having a hard time telling you what, even remembering what happened. So Charles Xavier goes to Domino and Cable and says he needs their help. Apparently, Eric Lancashire, Magneto, is about to join with some sort of big computer thing in cyberspace, and he will take over the world or something like that because everybody's in cyberspace now. They said cyberspace a lot. But this is part of the disconnect. Now, I'm sure somebody who has read whatever story this is supposed to be attached to would go, hey, wait a second, this is that world and this is where they're coming from. That's cool. That's absolutely wonderful. And I stopped reading Marvel Comics around the time of the New 52. A little bit before, actually. So I understand. I missed some stories. That's absolutely okay. But point being, it's not in this book. It's not in the book that it's supposed to be riffing on. It's not in the book that this is a what if off of. And that's one of the biggest problems of this book. There's not enough world building. If this is a what if off of an X-Men story, there's not enough world building for us to actually care. Beyond the point where we know who Domino is, we know who Cable is, we know who Professor Xavier is, we know who Magneto is. Beyond all of that, we don't know what this world is about. Why is what he's about to do bad? What's going to happen? There's no real consequence because we don't actually understand as new readers what this world is all about. Why is this going to be a thing? The only reason we know anything about anything is because Charles Xavier, a character we of course trust because we've seen him in the regular X-Men books, says so. We have no idea what the true consequences are. This is a bottle episode that's spread out into other places. It's spread out into other settings, and it's a weak story. And the art, if you're looking right here, is not all that great either. It's got lackluster backgrounds, or no background at all. You know, it's basically characters on flat planes. There's just nothing to it. Who are they and why should we care is a question I brought up many times during this book. Unfortunately, I don't see the passion. I don't see there's any love for the title. I don't see there's any love for the characters or even the story. If we've seen movies where we say, oh, well, that actor just took a paycheck or that director just took a paycheck. They didn't really care. And if there is a comic book equivalent of that attitude, I think it's full on display in this particular comic book. But that's just my opinion. What is yours? What did you think of the What If books? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Did you like the X-Men more than the Flash Thompson? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to click like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell if you haven't done it already. And if you don't mind helping out the channel, go on over to Patreon, drop $1 in the till, and helps keep making videos for you. I'd like to thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.